People often lack confidence in mathematics. They assume they have to get the right answer rather than seeing it as a journey to work through. In a working summit, ULEAD has identified bright spots from teams of practitioners across the state. These educators have found ways to consistently help students do better in math over the course of a school year. These leaders in math education will explain how each piece of the puzzle supports student success.
What we did was looked at data and found bright spots in the state, people whose students were performing really well mathematically. And then we simply invited all those teachers and their administrators to the table and asked them, what are you doing? Tell us your secrets. We want to know because everybody is super interested in how you get these learning outcomes. And so we really took the time to listen and took the time to kind of compile all of their all of the little nuggets that they dropped and put it into this report. And so we feel it's really powerful because it comes from a teacher and an administrator's perspective.
We want to have teachers feel empowered, and we want students to feel successful in mathematics. One of the things that we feel like is really important is that we want to position every student in a classroom as being a valuable contributor to learning.
When all of these pieces of the puzzle come together, students develop a conceptual understanding, procedural fluency, strategic and adaptive mathematical thinking, and productive dispositions. In this guiding vision for K-12 mathematics instruction in Utah, teachers use evidence and strengths-based instructional practices by building upon students' knowledge, skills, and understandings. They also foster a supportive learning environment by creating social learning contexts for problem solving and mathematical exploration.
The most important thing in math for me is that students make sense of math, that it makes sense, that they can do it, they can use it in real life. And these practices that we can use, that we're encouraging teachers to learn and use, will help that happen. Okay, one of the practices that really helps students make sense of math is using context, using stories. Because stories provide action that students can relate to. And I can follow a story with a student using a manipulative, which really builds conceptual understanding.
The data show, where's the data? Okay, the data show the number of grams of sugar in one serving of different types of yogurt. How many of you like yogurt? What's your favorite flavor? Yell it out. You only like what? Expected to have. So what is this question asking, or what is this question about? What is it all about?
Another bright spot is when you see teachers try to take that first leap, where they start asking a few more questions, or start trying to make sense of math using models, or use more context, or any of these practices, that their kids respond. And when they see their kids responding, that's the best motivation. We've also watched teachers come to different classes to deepen their own understanding on their own time, and walk out of those experiences where this is the way that they've learned, and say, I wish this was my experience when I was young. And so to see them now take that back to their classrooms and see the difference in their kids is a huge bright spot.
At the beginning of the year, I created a safe environment. The kids know that it doesn't matter if they're wrong or right, it's safe. And one of the things I do for that is if I make a mistake, the kids can catch me on it. And as they catch me, they get so many class points, and as so many class points, they get a party. So they're looking for what I'm doing wrong. So I'm showing them that if I can make a mistake and I'm okay with it and I can laugh about it and I can be happy about it, then so can they. And that's made them feel very safe about mistakes. Okay, go ahead.
I included every number, including the repeating 9 and 15.
Oh, so you didn't just put 1 9 and 1 15. You put every number that was there. What if there had been a 0 there? Would you have put the 0 there?
Yes.
Okay, keep going.
It sounds different coming from a peer than it does the teacher. And so because we give them that explore time before I even step in as the teacher, it gives them an opportunity to learn from each other and maybe fill in some background that maybe they weren't as clear on when we started before I even say anything about how to solve the problem. So I think it's a really great benefit to the students to have that peer support. I will give them a prompt before they turn and talk to their partners, such as, I agree with your answer because, or I got to this point, but I wasn't sure where to go from here. so that it gives them somewhere to start and trains them in thinking as their partner is explaining. So it's not just, this is what I did, this is why. Yep, me too. We lay that foundation that's not a powerful partnership. And that's what we're looking for, is that ability to listen to your partner and respond to their partner.
Data's neat, right? But you have to actually use it. And my team and I are really good about using that data effectively. So just with, for example, the quiz that they give at the end of Ready Math for every lesson or concept that they do. Instead of just marking them wrong, we grade them on a scale of like a 1, 2, or a 3. 3 meaning that they have mastered this skill, we're not making any silly mistakes, things like that. And then we look at each skill that is needed to find that concept, and we do a tier 2 instruction for each kid within the grade. We mix them up, we group them according to the skill that they need, and from their teacher or an aide, because we have a bunch of aides trained in what we're doing as well. And so there's about 9 of us that all split kids up into groups. We extend those kids that are doing amazing. We give them something that is within the same realm of what we're doing and extend it further. And then those kids that are struggling, we delve down and focus on just that skill.
In this guiding vision for K-12 mathematics instruction, Utah schools and districts provide high quality and aligned curriculum, instruction, and assessment. They focus on high quality tier 1 tasks and sequences with rich context for problem solving.
It's also really important that teachers and teacher leaders are empowered to make evidence-based curriculum decisions. We have a lot of resources at the State Board of Education, such as the RIMS database, and Ed Reports is also a very great resource.
Teachers need the clarity of communicating where a student is going, but they also need their own clarity of understanding what the standards that they are working with where they have come from and where they are going to, so they understand where a student is on that trajectory, and that informs how they do side-by-side interventions and supports.
Along with a coherent curriculum, we need standards-aligned assessments that help us know where students are at and what they do know about their mathematical understanding. The district can play a role in helping create some of those formative assessments. The district can also play a role in helping establish collaborative processes for teachers to create those assessments in teams. This is also something that can take place at the school level. If school-wide structures are in place allowing teachers to engage in collaborative team meetings, work as PLCs, then teachers can have that time and space to create or also just select and adapt common formative assessments to help them know where their students are at and how they can help them progress in their mathematical understanding.
My questions lead to another question by them or lead to them giving me the answer. The best question that I ask them is when they tell me I don't know how to start this, I'll say, well, tell me what you do know. And so they'll start telling me what they know, and within 30 seconds, oh, I get it. And that's what I love about teaching with questioning. Teaching the way I teach is watching the kids learn and to grow and to express when they get it.
Having that really high quality instruction that does align to our Utah core standards, having assessments that are built towards student strength and not from a deficit perspective, so that teachers are seeing what their students know, not just having assessments that show them what their students don't know, because you can't build on something that you don't know, you build on a strength, is really important.
It's so exciting to see how they're responding to what we're asking them to do. And we're asking them to do simple things like having open discussions with their students and really listening to what students are saying and giving students opportunities to discuss with one another. And then we're providing them tools to be able to do that. The thing that is so exciting is we're seeing them shift in their reflections, because they fill out a reflection each time. And their reflection went from, I'm not really sure my students are going to be able to do this, I don't know if they have the background experiences, to, wow, my kids are surprising me every time. I never thought they would think this way. I was so excited to see a student who normally doesn't engage much in a math lesson take a lead in a discussion. You know, this is what your teacher is doing, and their hard work and effort is paying off for their students who used to be in a math class where it wasn't super engaging and exciting to they're turning it around to saying math is my favorite subject and I can't wait till we get to go to math. And those are things that I'm excited about.
I see more engagement, more excitement about math. They stop asking why we need to do this. They see the relationship with every single thing that we do in real life. So they're more engaged, more excited, they're more happy. And I'm more happy too.
Talk with your parents about what information is important. 1, 2, 3.
As a team and plan for the week or the month, we have some goals. But when I listen to them and they are explaining to their partner, I can see misconception that they have or something that they really solidify before or during the discussion, during the practice moment in the lesson. When they are explaining to the partner, to the other kids, help me see truly where they are. That's my formative assessment that I do during the lesson. And that helped me change the pathway for my future lessons.
Oh, who agree with that? Who would like to add on to that? Alexander, what do you think?
Because the arrow is going up. So it could be going up until you want to make a certain number.
Can we make an agreement? Yes?
USBE, districts, and schools support systems for data collection, monitoring, intervention, professional learning, and community engagement. This includes a multi-tiered system of supports, time for job-embedded professional learning, and capacity for instructional leadership and coaching.
The system support for mathematics, or any change really, is essential to really make lasting change. You need people that will lead that effectively and keep supporting, keep resources, keep assessing, just keeping the whole system moving forward in an effective way. And that takes a system, and it takes a whole system that's supporting each other in that process so that teachers can do what they do best and help students to learn and to understand mathematics.
We're in a spot too where it's really important that we codify around a vision. We can set a course, clear a path, align resources, and remove obstacles or barriers so that we are more successful and more equitable in our outcomes.
One of the things that I think is so important about systems is the conversation around coherence. When it comes to understanding research together and working towards effective ways to support students, one of the things that we always want to think about is how do we create equitable outcomes for every student in our state? And how do we make sure that every teacher has the resources and materials needed to make that happen?
You know, when you're making big changes, you're really asking people to do some hard work. And one of the bright spots is thinking about where you've been. And when you're at a systems perspective, you can think about the ground you've covered. What used to be hard for us, what used to be challenging, is now becoming much more part of our common practice. And it's very satisfying to be able to look back and see strides that we've made and the growth we've been able to make. We're very fortunate in our district to have a very strong coaching cadre. And coaching is that job-embedded professional development. It's very personalized, it's very customizable, so we can meet people where they are in their learning and their needs and really make sure that that learning transfers to classroom practice.
The professional learning needs to be relevant to the teachers, where they experience it as a learner. I think in mathematics especially that's important, where they feel what mathematics feels like and feel the challenge of, I don't know the answer to this problem right now, and I'm going to persevere through this, I'm going to figure it out, and those same skills that they go through are what they now do as teachers.
Community partners support educators in math learning and leadership. Families, universities, and community organizations all play an important role in this guiding vision for K-12 mathematics in Utah.
The community partnership part of this guiding vision for mathematics is very important in order for all the stakeholders, including the community partners, the leaders, the teachers, everyone that's involved at every level. That part is very important because the partners bring research-informed and research-based practice to the table. What does the research say? What are some of the practices that are being effective? So the important part is that as a university partner that supports our UEPC, Utah Education Policy Center, supports bridging research into practice.
Coordinating and working with parents to help them support their students in being successful by letting students focus on strategies that make sense to them, so it builds their confidence. We don't want to have situations where some students are positioned over others as being the ones who know. And in an asset-based classroom where there's a system happening, every student has voice and every student feels like a strong contributor and sees themselves as a mathematician.
Family engagement is important because it's twice as predictive of student success as socioeconomic status. It is really crucial. It impacts higher graduation rates, higher grade, higher testing averages. Students will have better self-esteem, higher levels of motivation, and fewer behavioral problems. It also has higher prevention for violence, for alcohol use, and antisocial behavior.
Parents are the ones who get to have a lot of positive conversations with their students and talk about the importance of math. And so when we are working with communities and partners and parents especially, it's imperative that we support them in helping their child feel successful in mathematics and make connections to things that are happening in the world.
I think confidence is so hard to gain in math, and that's one of our biggest focuses, is we really want the kids to find that joy in math and that success in math, because that's how they learn and grow. Once they start becoming confident with what they can do, they're not as afraid to share. Tessa.
Drier means that there is less rain, so you'd use the left side because the numbers are lower.
I see students talking in classrooms and teachers providing both language supports for the process of the conversation and the content of the conversation. I see students excited around their models and their representations of their mathematics, and that's always really exciting.
And our guiding question on the research project was, what does it take in order to improve mathematics achievement systemically? What does a system have to do? And some of the same structures are in place in Utah that are in other states. Developing a shared vision, for example, developing the guiding vision, learning where the bright spots are and what works. What are the practices that work? How can you bring teachers together to share the accountability? How do district leaders support school leaders? And so it's truly a systemic effort, and putting those pieces of the system together in a coherent way is what works.
To learn more and to find resources, go to schools.utah.gov/ULEAD.